Hello, welcome. My name is Jack. Taylor's behind the camera.
Yo.
This is Andertons Music in Guildford. Now, in there, I know there are a ton of pianos and all a menagerie of instruments, but there's loads of pianos in there. And in this video, I want to break down the 5 things I would think about, and I'm imploring that you should maybe think about when you're buying your first electric piano keyboard. We'll discuss those things. Let's go freaking do it, Tay. Point 1 to think about is space, I would argue, before you've even gone to see the keyboard, before you've even thought about it. And I say that because unlike the guitars, basses we've got around there, that is an instrument you can just sit and play with. You don't need a physical space for it. I'd argue for the piano, you're going to make that decision, or keyboard, what space you've got. That will then lead on to the size that you can get, and we'll talk about when you get up there. So point 1, think of the space you've got. Is it a corner of a room in halls and you've just got a tiny desk, NPR tiny desk, or you are just going to play on the sofa? Keep that in mind. We'll talk about those decisions. All of those are valid things. It doesn't stop you getting a piano, but you've got to keep that in mind. And the next bit is this. Point 2, the number of keys. So we thought about the size, the environment that we're going to have to put our keyboard in. And that's going to really limit what size you can get. Now, what's great is we've got some limitations, if you didn't know, is that the max you'll ever get is 88 keys. That's it. Biggest piano ever made, 88 keys. And then below that, a menagerie of different sizes, okay? Just quickly walking around here, go on the website, we've got millions, you can check out everything on there. But in here, you can already see we've got tons of different size keyboards, just like we've got different size humans. Point 3, so we thought about how much space we've got. We also know now what number of keys we want. If you've got a teacher, that's an interesting discussion to have with your teacher. Often some teachers will demand, no, I want you to learn on an 88 key keyboard. Some will say, oh, it doesn't matter. But in that conversation, this is point 3, is the type of keyboard action, right? Let's break those down. You'll often hear these terms unweighted and weighted. And for time immemorial, that's the big question. Should I get a weighted and unweighted one? Again, I'd say if you're dealing with a tutor or a teacher, take their advice, don't listen to me. But one thing you'll find is with the 88 key pianos, a lot of the choice you'll have is you'll have the choice to buy one with a weighted action. And what is that? It's got a tiny little weight on the end, or there'll be a mechanism for some resistance that is trying to mimic the weight of a real wooden key on an acoustic piano. You'll hear that time and time again, that's preferable. Again, if you're trying to emulate an acoustic piano, great, go for that weighted keyboard action. But if that's not in your remit and you've said, hey, you know, I'm the person with just my lap to play on, that's cool. You can buy an unweighted keyboard action with a lot less keys. For example, this Casio is great because despite it not having a weighted keyboard action, we've got little things like there's a slight striations to the key to mimic the ivory feel. Speakers built in, it's light, battery powered. It's such a balancing game between all these different features. But again, if you think, what's my space? How many keys do I want and do my teacher want me to have? Does my teacher want me to have a weighted action or an unweighted action? They're really considerate. On to the next point. Point 4, how are you going to hear this piano? I'm talking to the absolute beginner here, but you might not know that a lot of pianos out there don't have speakers in. Luckily, at the beginner end of the market or lower price keyboards often get speakers in there. So that's cool. If you're looking at it, just double check you've got speakers in there. If not, you want to think about how you can hear it with headphones. Are you going to be playing regularly with someone else? Are your teacher and yourself going to have headphones on together? Because then you're going to need 2 headphone outputs on there, or at least a headphone splitter. So it's just thinking about that. And also, when you're thinking about the sound and how loud you want it to be, this is my laptop favorite at the moment, the Casio, like I said, because it's only got to please me up here, reach me up there. In the 88 key keyboards, often you'll find there's a lot more carcass to the instrument so we can get bigger speakers in. And then if you've said at that first question, I've got a corner of the room and I want it to be filled with a bit of furniture that looks like a piano, then you look to the middle of our showroom here. And I've always said that the #1 decision on any type of piano like this is a furniture one. So you've made that decision. It's essentially a bit of furniture in your room, so it doesn't matter what I talk about, specs or wise, you're going to choose the one you like the look of and meets your price range. But back to that point of speakers, this will give you room-filling sound. The only way to really get room-filling sound is to opt for one of these wooden bad boys in here. And the fifth thing I'm going to talk about is accessories. What accessories, exactly? So we just spoke about speakers, how we're going to hear ourselves. And the first accessory I'd say, and I mentioned in that last point, is about headphones. I would argue as a beginner, you might not need to spend too much money on headphone land. There are mainly, let's do a quick chat about headphones. The two big types, open and closed back. So often we'll say to people coming in with the open back headphones, they're literally that, on the cups of the headphones, they are open, often perforated, that let the room in. And if you're going to be sat there for hours, it's going to be a more natural listening experience, less fatiguing. If you are in a room or you're in a dorm where you need that privacy and you don't want sound spilling out and you want more to be more enclosed, or maybe you're going to do some home recording as well, look to get in a closed back set. We've got bucket loads here, you can try them out. Actually, Behringer are killing it at the moment with their entry level. That would be an example of a closed back headphone. As you can see, the cup there is completely enclosed. And this would be an example of an open back headphone where you can see these open perforations. So that's a consideration. And often, if you're interested in a piano, make sure you type in the model name into the website and you'll see often we do a bundle deal with things like the headphones, but also a keyboard stand. And keyboard stand is really simple. We have double braced and single braced, right? Let's start with a single braced. This will be appropriate for any keyboard up until an 88 key weighted keyboard. So if it's 61 keys, 73 unweighted, this will work fine. You only need to get this, I would say, if you've got an 88 key, or it's an essential if you've got an 88 key piano with a fully weighted action. So for example, this would suit that, and this maybe would be overboard, but would definitely suit that yellow one in the distance. Another thing that you might get in the box, but it's worth checking, is a sustain pedal. I'm waxing on about it in all my tutorial videos because I think it's a very important part of especially piano playing, realistic piano playing, and advancing your piano playing. The big difference between, you look, check the bump on the website again. Does it say it's got a sustain pedal included? Check the model number and look at a picture. And often the entry-level keyboards, very low price, will have this square style on and off. Very simple, and they're actually super handy to have forever because these things break. Doesn't matter how good they are, it's worth having as a spare. The other type you'll see is more the traditional piano type, and again, that's a big factor in the pricing of these pianos. What's included, if not, just check this, it's included or not. This does exactly the same as that. Exactly the same as that, unless it says in there it has a feature for half pedal dampening, or sometimes you might get a 3-pedal unit. But again, I would argue that's a discussion you should have with your teacher. Hang on, I'm looking at this piano, it's got 3 pedals. Do I need all 3 pedals for what I'm doing? Or do I just need one? Have that discussion, and if not, we sell all the different types. I would recommend, if you need to buy one with a switch, a polarity switch. This isn't one, this is between a continuous and switch, but really, weirdly, imagine up and down. All these different manufacturers have different idea of what's up and down. So if you buy one from, say, a different brand to the one you've got, it might not work. So it's worth buying. We do an M Audio SP2, that's the one I'd recommend. God, I'm boring that I know that. Few last minute nerdy accessories that you might not have thought about that I became aware of through working here in the store. A lot of people would ask, hey, I want to move this thing and I want to buy a bag for it. So click on our website, search for the bags, just find one that's suitable for you. Often, if a brand sells the bag that goes with the keyboard that you want, I'd recommend buying that. Yes, it might be more expensive, but the fit and the custom nature of it, I think, is worth it. Often the generic bags, you'll find there's a lot of space in there to rattle around, but if you need to take loads of other stuff with you, that might be the one for you. The other one to maybe think about is these are a bit like gym memberships, sometimes pianos. People can buy them with the best intentions, but they sit there doing nothing. So we also sell dust covers, and a lot of people are interested in dust covers. You could obviously just sling a robe over it. You know, I've got a silk robe I like to use for a dust cover, but we do actually do stretch fit ones, and I think Amazon's a good place to get loads of dust covers. So that's got us sorted. Stands, headphones, keyboard, action, type, all those things. Hope that gave you an idea of what to think about. Again, this is based at someone who hasn't thought about it, but the best bit is you can come here to Andertons and speak to young, enthusiastic salespeople. No, but honestly, the guys here are amazing, and just call them up and you can send an email. They are much better at getting back to people than I used to be back in the day, so respect to them. And thanks so much for watching. Thanks, Tay for being here. Let's buy you a keyboard now. Which one do you want?
That red one.
Yeah, I've taught him well.